Good evening, family and friends. We're here again on Tuesday night for Real Truth Talk here on Facebook Live. Again, I'm Darlita Brooks McKeever, and my private page is where I stream from. So if you love these videos and you want to be able to share them with your family and your friends, please send me a friend request to Darlita, that's spelled Darlita, Brooks McKeever, McKeever. I'm so excited tonight to be spending some more time with you, family and friends, as we just celebrated Labor Day weekend, and now we're about to remember 9/11 this week as well. And so tonight, I have on my shirt that I got a few years ago when I lived in Shreveport. Margaritaville is one of the casinos that was blessed to have this wall of people that died in wars. And they travel with this wall all around the United States. Some of you may have seen it, but it says honor and respect, remember. And so I use today to remind us of honoring the memories of those who have lost their lives for the cause of freedom, for those who lost their lives in the 9/11 attack, which happened in 2001. So that was 20 years ago. Can't believe it. We're 2 decades later, and where we once saw us unified as a nation, everybody came together and we mourned and we cared, and some of us made donations to New York City when the Twin Towers fell. Some of us have been privileged to even travel to what they call Ground Zero to see where the Twin Towers stood. Some of us gained a whole new respect for our police force, for the fire departments, the first responders that also lost their lives. So tonight on Real Truth Talk, if you had a chance to see my flyer, tonight's Real Truth Talk is the script has been flipped. There's a cliche that says if you flip the script, or when you flip the script, this, that, and the third will happen. I'm here tonight to challenge that. I'm saying the script has been flipped. So tonight on Real Truth Talk, again, good evening, family and friends. Once again, we're here. We're going to share about 30, maybe 45 minutes of some really good things that will get us to another level, get us to thinking more, getting us to enlighten ourselves, getting us to open our minds up, really taking that self-account, doing those self-checks, really paying closer attention to things that matter in the long run, as well as in the short run, but in the long run. So without further ado, again, Darlita Brooks McKeever is where I stream this from on Facebook Live. If for whatever reason you send a friend request and it's not accepted, you can see this video on Darlita L. McKeever as well. McKeever. First name is Darlita. And also these videos are posted to my YouTube channel. So I will post this one as I posted a few others at Darlita McKeever. Please like and subscribe. So without further ado, we're going to go ahead and talk about the script has been flipped. What do I mean by the script has been flipped? Well, I just started off a few minutes ago. If you're just joining, we were talking about, we just celebrated Labor Day this past weekend with family and friends, or maybe we just spent some quiet time at home alone just to rest and maybe get some things done as we prepare for fall season. I myself, my son, plays for Vanderbilt University, and if you're on my private page, you've probably seen some pictures posted and videos of his game. My Fast 82, Devin Body Jr., y'all look out for him. And so this week as well, a memorable occasion will be we are honoring and remembering those who lost their lives in 9/11. That was a very horrific event that occurred here in America, in New York, almost 20 years ago on 9/11. But for tonight, we're going to talk about how this script has already been flipped. On September 11, 2001, collectively as United States citizens, as people around the world, we were united in how we thought, how we processed, how we felt about the horrific domestic terrorist attack that happened in New York to the Twin Tower buildings, the World Trade Center buildings. 9/11 was horrific. No one thought about race on that day when the Twin Towers were attacked by airplanes driven by terrorists. No one cared about job titles. We didn't care, or we weren't as concerned at that time about what was going on with the police force. We weren't concerned about how long it sometimes would take in certain neighborhoods. Black Lives Matter, y'all. Certain neighborhoods, it would take police or firefighters 45 minutes to show up on emergency calls. No one thought about that on 9/11. We thought about every life that mattered, every life that was lost, every family that had to receive a call or had to receive notification that they had lost loved ones. That's what was on our mind 9/11/2001, some almost 20 years ago. We were in prayer mode. We were thoughtful. We were caring. At that time, I believe Mayor Giuliani became more popular nationally and was really applauded for how he handled that major disaster, that major crisis that happened in New York City. And New York has certainly thrived and has moved forward, and it has moved on from 9/11/2001. Where are we today? Where's that same unity? Well, let's talk about it. There's unity happening, but it's happening for various causes. It's also happening for negative reasons. Racism, as an example. We just saw on January 6th this year the insurrection that occurred in Washington, D.C. Hundreds of people have been arrested, have been charged. Some have been found guilty of various crimes. Police officers securing the buildings, Congress. They were hurt. One was killed, maimed for life, just this year. Well, here in America, there are so many people that are sick and tired of watching and the news about racism, about discrimination regarding which political party people are in, how people are voting. Good evening, family, friends joining on. How you doing, brother? How you doing, Chris? And frankly, we all get why, whether we want to admit it or not. Tonight, we're going to spend some time honoring and respecting. My shirt tonight, again, says honor, respect, remember. That's what we're going to do tonight. for these few minutes that we're together on Real Truth Talk Tuesday. Who are we honoring? Who are we respecting? And why? It's very important for all of us, not just to honor the memories of those who have lost their lives on 9/11, not just remember military personnel who fight for freedom and lost lives. I'm a veteran myself. We need to learn how to honor ourselves. We need to learn how to honor our family members. We need to learn how to honor our friends. We need to learn how to honor one another. Because some people seem to have forgotten that it's important. Relearning is really the word I'm looking for and that I should really use. Some people weren't necessarily taught in the homes that they were raised in that they needed to honor anyone that looked differently from them, that talks differently from them, that may be from a different neighborhood, a different country, that may speak a different language, that may have an accent. Excuse me. But I'm here tonight to make it real plain. Honoring requires for us to do something on our parts that may not come naturally, because certainly if we weren't taught to honor our parents, if we weren't taught to honor our grandparents, to honor our aunts, our uncles, to honor adults, it would really explain why there's a lot of people being so disrespectful, not just to other people, but to themselves. The shirt says honor and respect. Perfect segue to talking about respect. What is respect? How do we respect? Why is it so important to respect? There's the golden rule. Do unto others as you would have them do unto you. That's something we were taught as children, so we're not new to that phrase. The problem, though, is when people are not honoring and respecting themselves, they don't necessarily treat themselves well. So naturally, when we say do unto others as you would have them do unto you, if someone is self-destructive, self-sabotaging, that could explain why they are so destructive with other people, why they sabotage other people's good efforts. So we need to back it up a little bit, because we're going to talk about honor and respect. We need to go there. We need to stop tiptoeing around it. We don't need to sugarcoat. We need to hit it right there on the head. As they say, hit the hammer on the nail. That's what we need to do. So let's start. We've gone over so many different things that we could do to get self-motivated, to begin to take steps to make positive changes in our lives, to begin doing what we need to do to change our circumstances. We've talked about changing our associations. But we have to learn why it's so important to have honor and respect for ourselves. We need to relearn it. We need to reiterate it, because so many have fallen away from the simple things. It's very simple to do things nice for yourself. Some people may find it even easier to do something nice for other people. Some people are natural givers. Some people put other people before themselves, very selfless. And other people struggle with doing nice things for self, or even doing nice things for other people. It could be that maybe we have fallen for the okie doke. It could be that the way that we see people being treated in this country by police, the corrupt ones. We're so disenchanted. We're so disappointed. We're so disgusted. We feel so disrespected by things that are happening to black people, brown people, women, our youth. Perhaps we've lost hope. We don't feel the hope that we need to feel. We don't feel the love. We don't feel that we deserve respect because we see so much disrespect. False. False. We've said in previous Real Truth Talks, we can't go by circumstances that are happening in the moment and allow them to define for us or allow people to define for us how we should be living, how we should be thinking, what we should be doing, what we shouldn't be doing to better ourselves, to improve, to build, to gain, to obtain the things that we want in life, to achieve our goals, to accomplish the things that we set out to do. We can't allow circumstances, we can't allow people and their opinions of us or their feelings about us and about what we're doing to cause us to start to get on that train of dishonoring and disrespecting other people. Look, y'all, again, 9/11 is upon us. We didn't have no problem respecting everybody on 9/11. We didn't have no problem, having vigils, prayers. Pastors and preachers in the pulpits were praying for the country. And the Bible's clear. If my people who are called by my name would turn from their wicked ways, but you got to pray first. Pray and turn from your wicked ways. Then I'll heal the land. That's what God says he'll do. He'll heal the land. How many people want to see healing happen? And what are we willing to do to receive the healing in our land? This land is my land. This land is your land. The way people are treated is not always bad and it's not always good. There's some inhumane treatment going on. And we see it, we know about it. But how many people choose to be silent, to allow the disrespect, to allow the dishonoring? Look, the flip has already been, the script has already been flipped. People say flip the script. The script has already been flipped. If you're paying attention to what's happening just here in the United States alone, we have a black woman that's vice president of the United States. For the first time in history, a woman holds a position that's the second highest position politically in the United States of America. The script has already been flipped. Here's what we need to do. We don't need to forget anything. That's why my shirt says honor, respect, remember. Honor, respect, remember. So we don't need to forget things that have happened, things that have been said, things that have shaped and molded the conditions of not just our country, but we don't need to forget the things we've read in books, whether it be textbooks at school, online books, newspaper articles. We don't need to forget what we've read in regards to what's happening here in America. We don't need to forget. We need to remember. But we need to take it a step further from just remembrance. It's time to act. Remember last week on Real Truth Talk, we said faith without works is dead. Some people may not want to protest. That's fine. Some people may not want to share posts on social media. That's fine. Some people may not want to have a loud voice speaking up on issues that are impacting people and families and jobs in our country. And that's fine. But here on Real Truth Talk, we're just going to keep it real. We're just not going to sugarcoat. And why we're not going to sugarcoat? Why? We're not supposed to. See, race relations today is not too much different from how it was before civil rights. It's not too much different from how it was during slavery. People now focus so much time and attention on being politically correct. They know what to say, how to say it, what to avoid saying, what to avoid doing to keep their jobs, to keep their businesses afloat, to keep from being exposed on social media. For example, here on Facebook, as well as on Instagram and Twitter, there have been many videos posted of quote-unquote Karens. These are Caucasian women that have been caught on video at various places, malls, stores, parking lots, parks, you name it, calling the police, falsely accusing black men, black women of doing something wrong that didn't occur. And in these videos, several witnesses are present that will say what this Karen said is false. It didn't happen. And it's giving us a glimpse, though, into what's been happening for generations here in America. See, we have camera phones that are catching things now. We didn't always have camera phones. We didn't also have camcorders that could record videos. That's why I keep saying the script has been flipped. The narratives that were given about black men and black women in this country were not correct narratives in every case, in most cases. But with these camera phones now added to the social media, millions can see what many of us have always known. It's very easy for some people to disrespect and to dishonor others because they look different, they talk different, they act different. See, here's the thing. Whoever said there's one way to act? Whoever said that it's correct, your behavior is great as long as you do this and don't do that? Who made these rules up? See, the script has been flipped. I'm going to be myself, and I encourage all of you to be yourselves in every situation and at all times. For example, when I grew up in a predominantly Caucasian neighborhood from an early age. And there were a handful of black children at my elementary school. Some of my friends on here I've known since elementary. And so they can back it up. There weren't very many black people at my elementary schools. Once I got to middle school, people were transported from an area where it was predominantly black people attending certain elementary and middle schools. So by the time I got to middle school, I had a more diverse, we had a more diverse school, much more diverse. And the same went for high school. But when I was in elementary school, some of my Caucasian friends told me I was a good nigger. Yes. You're a good nigger. Matter of fact, you're not even a nigger. You're just a good black person. And their explanation for it was, you know, you don't act like this and you don't talk like that. Well, how many of us know that elementary age children learn that from adults in their lives, whether it was from parents, grandparents, or anyone that parents or grandparents allowed them to be around. And as an elementary age black girl, I didn't understand what they were saying, but I knew what they were saying. I knew it was wrong. I also knew that they had never been around and gotten to know black children, because for whatever reason, whoever was raising them, whether it was their parents or grandparents, they preferred to not allow their children to be around black children, to be around black adults, to be friends. Why? Because they didn't like the way black people were acting. They didn't like what black people were doing. And they believed whatever lies and whatever narratives were out there being told about black people. So I learned from a young age that many things that we may be taught or exposed to from early childhood certainly impacts how we may act and decisions we make as adults. The script has already been flipped. Catch this memo. It no longer matters to the majority what someone says about anyone when it's based on race. It no longer matters. It also no longer matters if you're uncomfortable shopping around people that look differently from you, that may be from another race, maybe from another country. It no longer matters if you're uncomfortable with someone living in your neighborhood or exercising in your neighborhood, because that reminds me of Ahmaud Arbery, who lost his life in February of last year. He was running here in my great state of Georgia, getting exercise, and 3 Caucasian men decided to interfere with his exercise and to lie and say that he was stealing from homes that were under construction, yet that wasn't the case. Some things were caught on video by one of the Caucasian men, and that evidence is what got them arrested. That evidence is what got them charged, and that evidence is what got them convicted. And the DA in that area of Georgia at the time didn't want to press charges against these men. And I just read an article the other day that says she's now been charged as well for prosecutorial misconduct. So again, we let our voices be heard. We let people know how we feel. We don't have to be silent. The script has already been flipped. Some people are so angry. Some people are so hurt. Some people are so confused by the condition that the United States is in right now. What's the confusion? See, some of y'all are still in the old book. Some of y'all are still believing the hype. Some of y'all are still believing and pushing the false narrative. And you're keeping racial tension going. You're wanting to spread more racial division. I read articles today regarding Texas. The governor of Texas, Greg Abbott, signed into law these new restrictions that the Republicans want to have on voting. It's a nationwide thing. Many states had the Republican Party filing paperwork trying to restrict voting that would mainly impact minorities in this country. Anything from changing the hours that people can vote to, here in Georgia, I believe it was, you can't give out water. We have millions of people that live in metro Atlanta alone And people don't mind waiting in line for hours. And so that's what we have to do if we don't early vote. And even in early voting, sometimes you're waiting in line for more than an hour or two. Just depends, because there's that many people voting. I saw it myself last year here in Atlanta, here where I am. And the point I'm making to you is, one monkey, two monkeys, three monkeys won't stop no show. Greg Abbott, governor of Texas, also has plenty of lawsuits that got filed for this very thing he wanted to sign into law today. So we're going to see what the court says. But let me tell you, the script has already been flipped. Enough is enough. We're done with all of the racism. We're done with all of the false accusations. We're done with the injustices that have been done against black people, brown people, Asian people, Native Americans. We're done. I want y'all to share this with your family and friends. I want you to put it on your pages. We're done. The script has already been flipped. When President Donald Trump was in office, many of the people on my Facebook friends list that used to be on there got deleted. I was also deleted from some people's pages. I don't care, because people let their true colors shine through. People said some things that they really wanted to say that they were unable to say when President Obama was in office. So when President Trump was in office, people got very bold and let it be known that black people shouldn't be protesting and brown people shouldn't be protesting, and we should back the blue, even though the corrupt officers in the blue were shooting, killing, and maiming many unarmed black people, brown people. In other words, they were approving the modern day lynching. Because if you're going to back the blue, the corrupt officers that have been charged and convicted of crimes, thank goodness for technology, many of them had on camera vests. And so much of what they said and much of what they did was captured on those cameras, and that sealed the deal for their convictions. Once again, we're just now getting to the era over the last 10 years or so of camera vests. Prior to that, many corrupt police officers were killing, shooting, and maiming black and brown people. Again, the script has already been flipped. Why do you think God gave the idea of camera vests? Why do you think God gave someone the idea of creating camera phones? Because he knew that he had to provide a way of escape. He had to provide a way for the truth to get out about what's really happening, what's really being said, what's really going on, what's really being done. And one thing about what's in writing in black and white and what's on camera, what's recorded visually and audibly, you can't deny what you see and what you hear. So the script has already been flipped. See, we're talking about respect and honor and how we need to remember honor and respect. Specifically, we're talking about military personnel that have lost their lives for the cause of freedom. Because I'm a veteran, my husband's a veteran, there are many veterans in my family, including my brother, my deceased grandfather, my deceased uncles. Many people in my family are military veterans. And some people may not understand how, for example, black people could even be a veteran. Let me tell you something. Freedom is important. Freedom of speech is important. Freedom to protest is important. Freedom of the press is important. That's why they're all part of the Constitution. Freedom from slavery is important. That's why the Emancipation Proclamation was signed. That's why slavery was ended. See, all of these things are important to this country that we live in. But we have people here still in 2021 that have an issue with freedom. Freedom for all. Not just freedom for some, but freedom for all. Some people have a problem with that, to the point where they applaud corruption, to the point where they're on the side of Karens that are caught on camera falsely accusing black and brown people because they don't really honor and respect. So as I said, I deleted many people off of my Facebook friends list last year. Glad I did. And for those that deleted me, I'm glad they did. You know why? Because, see, we have voices that need to be heard, and we have to respect ourselves enough to stop allowing people to disrespect us. We're nobody's doormats. People should not be walking all over us. People should not feel like they can trample on us. People should not feel like they can overpower us with their words. They should not feel like, because they have a difference of opinion, that they can say and do things to belittle us, to sabotage us, and we just sit there and take it. Those days are over. Get the memo. Here's the announcement. That time has ended. That time has passed. We shall never see it again. There's a scripture in the Bible that clearly says, and it's so crystal clear, in all your ways acknowledge him, and that's talking about God, and he shall direct your path. Our paths are being directed by Almighty God. God said, vengeance is mine. See, he doesn't want people seeking revenge for the past. He doesn't want people seeking revenge when we hear of police corruption. So that's why we have some people in the blue uniforms that are treating America like it's a war zone. Because when things are done to black and brown people, and a lot of black and brown people show up to protest, we saw it in Ferguson. We saw it when George Floyd passed away. We saw it there, right there in Minnesota. We see how there's gas and there's all kinds of measurements put in place to try to block protests. We just said freedom of speech, freedom to protest. That's part of our United States Constitution, and that's for all citizens, not just some. Yet, when there are protests done, for example, by the KKK, we don't see tear gas being thrown there. When there are protests being done, like we saw at the insurrection on January the 6th, where was all the gas? How were they able to get into the Congress building? What were all the measurements to stop it then, before it escalated to that point? We saw videos of some of the police letting people in the building. Guns didn't get pulled. Nobody got shot, except for that one lady who lost her life climbing through the window. But I mean, last time I checked, there's more than one bullet in guns. How were people able to get away with it? I'll tell you how. Again, there are people with all kind of jobs, all kind of titles, who really support racial divide to the point where they will allow or be okay or not be as protective against people and stand up for people who are in Congress. Why? Because they want to send a message that y'all are not going to change what my pawpaw taught me, what my meemaw taught me. They said we're on top and we better than everybody. We know more than everybody. So we don't want to see equality. We don't really want to see peace among people. We don't want to really see everybody have freedom. Let me speak to my black men, my black women, my brown women. Let me tell you something. Enough is enough. We can stop feeling sorry for ourselves, as people have said, quote unquote. We can stop being fearful because God is on our side. Laws have changed and are still changing. The day is here now, and it's not going away. Doors are opening now. Things have to improve externally. And we have to prep ourselves internally, which is what we've been talking about on these Real Truth Talks. We got to prep ourselves internally, get ourselves together, get our mindsets changed, start implementing ways that's going to help us improve, help us get to another level. We got to start taking these steps and keep taking them, keep going forward. Because externally, we all see what's going on. We can turn on the news, we can read articles, we can get into conversations with people. We know what's going on out here. But internally, we got to make up our minds to get out of that mindset of being suppressed, of being oppressed, of being made to feel like we're beneath, of made to feel like we're undeserving. We are worthy of these two things, all of us. Honor and respect. And we need to remember that every day. We're all worthy of honor and respect. We all should be giving everyone honor and respect. And for those who disagree, I really don't care. Here's why. Your days are numbered with the foolishness. Your time is limited to be pushing racism, to be pushing discrimination, to be thinking that we're going to bow down to the mentality of letting people tell us what we can and cannot do. That same governor in Texas, Greg Abbott, that wants to make it harder for minorities to vote, also signed into law recently about women having abortions. Let me tell you something. There are many women that are married, that are in relationships, that are pregnant, and find out that their unborn child is not developing correctly, that their unborn child will have problems, will not have a long lifespan. And there are just women who may not want at this current moment to take on the responsibility of being a mother for 18 plus years. Let me tell you something. I'll just say this, and I said it on my page. If you are not a female with ovaries and a uterus, don't try to slave whip no women into no kind of submission, to bowing down to what you think a woman should and shouldn't do. That's not your business. It's not. We don't tell men to have vasectomies. You're not going to tell women what to do with our uterus, with our fallopian tubes, and with our ovaries. It's not going to happen. Those days are over too. It's done. That entire mentality is a slave master mentality. Anytime someone wants to control, that's operating in witchcraft. If we are believers in Jesus Christ, we don't practice nor accept the practices of warlocks and witches. We don't operate in a spirit of witchcraft. We're not controlled and we're not controlling. Okay? I keep saying we need to dive into the Word of God. I've talked about Bible Gateway. There are other Bible apps that we can download to our phones, to our tablets, to our computers. We need to find out what God says about some things. Because for those who are wondering, there's a scripture over in the Old Testament where it talks about if a woman committed adultery against her husband, if she was pregnant, she would have to drink a liquid. And if she was pregnant by another man other than her husband, the baby would abort. Oh, Bible readers, those who think they know everything about God, those who think they know everything about everything, read that. Read that of what God allowed in the Old Testament. Read it. Because let me tell you something. What people think and what people feel is not what we need to be living our lives by. The sooner we realize that, the better off we'll be. So tonight's Real Truth Talk, you can catch it on my YouTube channel, Darlita McKeever, Darlita McKeever. You can also catch it here on my page, Darlita Brooks McKeever, my private page, if you're on my list. If for some reason you send a friend request and you're not on my list, no worries. You can go to my public page, Darlita L. McKeever, Darlita McKeever is how you spell my name. Feel free to send me some inboxes. Feel free to comment on the lives. If you don't want your comments read, put anonymous. I promise you, I will not say your name. Won't even mention anything that we talk about. You can call me on Messenger. I answer my phone. Thank you guys for joining me tonight. Next week on Real Truth Talk at 9 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. Central, 6 p.m. Pacific. We're just going to continue to keep it real and talk about real things that are impacting us personally, real things that are impacting life around us, and just stir up some thinking outside of the box. Remind us of who we are, what we represent, where we're going in life. We're just going to keep this positive train rolling because we're done. We're done with negativity. We're done with discrimination. We're done with racism. We're done with people getting away with everything they've been getting away with that was wrong towards anybody. We're done. Catch the memo on that. Catch the announcement in case you are unclear or worried about what's going on, confused. It's over. Okay? Life as some people were living it, life as people were thinking it was going to be, it's a wrap. It's done. We've moved on. We've progressed. And we're going to keep progressing. We're going to keep moving forward. That's what we're going to do. Next week on Real Truth Talk, we got another good one coming, y'all. We got a good one. It gets greater later. Yes. Next week on Real Truth Talk, it gets greater later. See you next week.